Alright guys, we are out here today to contrast a very sad trellising fail with a very exciting trellising win. If you saw my video from just maybe 2 days ago, I realized that this runner bean that is really my only super happy runner bean of the ones that are remaining that haven't been completely decimated by this pest I am trimming it. I am seeing new growth, but it's also 60 degrees in August, and it's been 60 degrees, 65 degrees all of July, and these plants just aren't growing with the vigor that they need to. Peas are doing fine, but beans really want more heat than this, so they're not as happy as they could be. But this plant is, despite its hard start in life, it's really performing well. It doesn't get as much sun as the others. It's not putting on as many flowers, but it is vining and it's healthy, and I'm not committing plant abuse, and that makes me happy. So I had originally seen, as it got to the top of, first I gave it a small thing. I didn't think this thing was going to grow at all, trust me. It was so sad to get it even started in life. That then when I saw it got to the max height of it has a little stake under there, I built this prop to send it over to the copper piping here, thinking, oh, it'll want to spiral around that perfectly. Well, these, unlike squash and my vining plants, I'm noticing that this bean plant just wants to grow up. It really doesn't want to run sideways. And even though I kept suggesting, hey, you've got something here to run on, it was just staying really slack around the bamboo, and it was not progressing. It was growing a little bit, it would just sort of put up with me placing it on the bamboo, and then it would try to grow up straight again. So I finally just gave it what it wanted, which was something vertical to climb. It had been trying to climb this post, but it just couldn't fit behind, and was just like ramming the poor, new leaf end and in and getting full of cobwebs and just like not making any progress, and just created a total traffic jam there. So I am really excited to say that once I finally figured that out, I just gently unwound what I had done. Again, it never wound around this horizontal bamboo. I had wound it, suggesting here you can climb here. It didn't really take. I diverted it back and just loosely, ever so loosely, connected it to the bamboo, because it was such a long trellis at that point that it would just fall. So, and I have a lot of wind coming through my garden right here. It's 60 degrees and windy. It's just fantastic for summer gardening here. Anyway, there's some wind. So it wasn't able to get adherence unless I connected it, and then literally, I need to check my camera. It's no more than 2 or 3 days. And I think the second day I came out, and I was like, oh, I hope it takes, because I wasn't really seeing necessarily a lot of promise. But now I've got this beautiful spiral. It's a little slack down at the bottom because I didn't want to force it to the bamboo very tightly, but we'll see if this even laces a little tighter for its own stability. But otherwise, it's been winding around itself. It's sending lots of new growth. I'm just so pleased with this plant. I might actually just go ahead and do that for it as this gets a little longer. Sort of help this other vine find the bamboo as well. It might even just make its way up itself, but I want to give that something to sense quickly so that, again, it doesn't whip too hard in the wind. And I think it's going to find this beautifully. And beans or no beans, I'll have a, hopefully, don't jinx it, knocking on my planter box. Hopefully I'll have a healthy, happy scarlet runner plant. That's just been my goal and dream. I love their flowers. I just think they're beautiful. Okay, so that's the good news. The sad news is what happened over here. You can see I've got just like a crazy menagerie of trellis system going for these spaghetti squash. And the spaghetti squash are troopers. They want to vine and climb, and they will grab anything you put in front of them, like a little toddler who's grabbing your hair, grabbing anything from you, and they can do some havoc. In my small space, they've uprooted plants. They've really been sort of bullies on the ground. So getting them into the air, where they, if I had just the room for them to bully each other, that'd be fine. But because they're in quarters with other stuff, it's really been helpful that they like to climb. And for the most part, once you just could get them started, they lace on to whatever you give them. So here's an example of where this is trellised well. I missed the opportunity to pollinate this little female flower. So that squash is unfortunately going to die. But you can see there's basically slack line here. And this is where this had been connected from, and also slack here, right? I had laced this growing vine up the bamboo from the base, and here it started to jut out to that direction, and I was like going to hit my face on these spiny leaves in my little walkway. So I just suggested, how about you head back the other way, soft, very gently. Don't create crimp, Got to be really careful with how gentle you are here. And then, since then, it found the cross runner bamboo, and it is all its own strength. Even in this wind, you can see the bamboo moving. Even in this wind, it is totally fine and stable, and it's putting on fruit here, which is just so, look, there's even another little baby one at the end. Super cool. All right, second example, I've got one with an elastic little sling that has some fruit on it and is flowering fine, and it looks like I did some stem damage to it here. That could have been, you know what? I think that was when it was getting so long that I decided to finally trellis it, because it was branching out this way, and I thought maybe it was going to grab the the bean trellis, but it got so long it started to get weakened there. And I was like, I just got to trellis it back to the closer nearby overhang. So here it keeps going, and I don't want to force it up. I could actually probably make that tighter at this point, so maybe I will do that. And even if I don't get it tighter right there, because that might be too extreme an angle for something lower down on the branch where it's thicker, I might get it closer to the branch, further along on the stem, which would make me happy. Okay, the sad news, however, is that I had a string tied to right there on this beautiful little stem, and she has 1, 2, 3, let me see, 3 pollinized. I'm missing which word that's supposed to be, but anyway, successfully pollinated female flowers, right? And I actually only noticed this vine at this moment because I was like, oh, let me go pollinate that one on the end and this one here. And that's when I saw that I had neglected it for too many days, and it grew enough that it got really heavy and it began to snap over the string. I'm super mad because I've been really careful to not have these types of mistakes and accidents. But my garden has actually kind of exploded, and there's just distraction everywhere and trying to maintain everything. Not making excuses. It's just kind of comical that I'm noticing once my attention is divided between just too many plants, they won't get the same attention as they did originally. So I'm hoping this was pretty thoroughly snapping. It's still green. It's a little more damaged than that, and it's now sort of twisted to get back up to the support. But we'll see if this can survive and keep pumping circulatory goodness and nutrition and juices to those little fruit. And if it can't, and it begins to die more aggressively, I guarantee you I will cut those fruit off and I will eat them at whatever size they get to. Because if I haven't posted yet, I want to share that I am loving eating my immature spaghetti squash. I've got some like mammoth major size squash. I've got 2 more that are at least that big, and I kind of can't believe it in the weather I've been having. But I've been eating them at that size and actually significantly bigger. Like that one at the bottom probably got away from me. Gosh darn it. But I've been eating them with a pretty thick skin, even just sauteed in a pan. There's seeds and everything, and they still taste absolutely delicious. So you've got a pretty wide window before it's point of no return, and you need to let them go to winterized skin, I guess you could call it, the outer hull. It's not a hull, it's a skin. So when the skin starts to really thicken and get too hard for you to want to eat it as a summer squash, then, just leave it on the vine. And I think I did that. I should have been harvesting from that plant that's behind my bolted brassicas and whatnot, because I should have harvested those when they were smaller, because in the meantime it's really only put on those 2 major fruit at this point, and it's not giving the other fruit. This one does have major fruit on it, but for whatever reason, maybe it's just a happier plant, and it continues to give me good fruit. I've eaten a lot off of that, including, I feel bad that you see the scarring where I just clipped them off, but it's keeping the plant productive, and that makes me happy because I'm just loving the squash. Okay, so back to the sad story. So we'll keep an eye on this. Moral of the story, if I can get those to edible size, that will be a relative recovery for this. But I am sad that the plant is going to probably lose the effort and that it put into creating this vine and anything else that might have come out future on that vine. So that is sad, and it's just a note to self. I'm happy to see it's got another little girl flower underneath the break. So hopefully, and I mean, it has lots of, I can't be greedy, I'm not trying to be greedy. Maybe in the end, this will be a healthy prune, an indirect, accidental, healthy, but results in a healthy prune for the plant. But it makes me sad that I did it. So there we go, just to check in. Hope your garden is thriving. Hope your vines are going crazy and making you crazy. And follow up below if you're curious about any other aspects of gardening, even things like, you know, sun-loving, heat-loving squash in cloudy ass San Francisco. Like, it's a perfect example of what our summer has looked like. I should put the weather stats. I think it's like, I'm in a sweatshirt, a thermal, a vest. I happen to have shorts on, but that's only good. I don't mind leg chill. It's been cold. It's been damp. I have no powdery mildew, and I've been eating squash. Like, I can't even keep up with the squash I'm eating. So, and I do have a lot of plants, but still, don't believe the rumors. If you want to try growing something, give it a try, and then just work with that plant, see if you can make it happen. Ignore this sort of eyesore. But other than that, work with the plant.